Hello there. In this video, I'm going to have an exam review session with a past paper. The paper is IB Economics Paper 1 HL from November 23 exam, time zone 1. Let's give it a go. Question 1A. Explain two determinants of price elasticity of demand. Intro will define PED and its significance. First determinant will be availability of substitutes. To clarify that, I can explain how the availability of substitutes affects the PED of a certain good. Specifically for the good that has abundant substitutes like sweets, beverages, those things, they would make the consumers rather willing and able to be elastic whenever its price change. On the other hand, for the case of having few substitutes, for example, COVID-19 vaccination, things like that, these kind of goods would make the consumption rather inelastic. To illustrate that, I'm going to draw a diagram showing different PEDs having different angles, like relatively steep curve or flatter curve. Next determinant is proportion of income spent on the goods. It means when a good that takes a relatively big proportion of income, it makes the consumption be more elastic, such as rent or car consumption, since the change of the goods price brings huge impact on one's disposable income. On the other hand, milk or bread, in this case, those kind of goods take relatively minuscule amount of proportion of one's income, so their consumption stay inelastic. Question B, using real-world examples, discuss how a government might respond to a situation in which there is a high concentration ratio in a market. Intro should define market concentration ratio, oligopoly, and monopoly. First, my analysis will be on the logic behind the government intervention on such type of markets. Basically, the reason why government intervenes in a market where it has such high concentration is because it might indicate the abuse of market power from either monopoly or oligopoly. And such firms tend to charge higher prices, produce lower outputs, and create allocative inefficiency in a market. In this case, the real-world example that I can use is about the airline industry in the US, which is arguably an oligopoly, with 4 major domestic airlines only: American Airlines, Delta, Southwest, and United Airlines. They serve about 80% of all domestic passengers, and I can say how such create market inefficiencies. The evaluation of the government measures. Let me first explain one specific type of government intervention, which is price control, and how it alleviates the situation above. So I can list some pros of the measure, and then I can present political limitations of the measure. After that, I can introduce a second type of government intervention, which is legislation, so-called antitrust law, and how it works, also its potential limitations. And then after that, I should explain potential advantages of having such a market structure, like having high concentration ratio, like monopoly or oligopoly. Maybe they can be, in a way, efficient or positive, since they can achieve dynamic efficiency or they can enjoy economies of scale. This time, my real-world example is about European Commission fines Apple over 1.8 billion euros for violating antitrust laws. Question 2A, explain how changes in two determinants of investment could lead to an increase in real gross domestic product. As always, the intro should define investment, GDP, and economic growth. Holding 1 will explain a short-term determinant. So the first determinant is lowering interest rates, and I can explain how it can attract and incentivize business investment, making them increase production and employment. Therefore, more productive and efficient production available, so it can lead higher GDP. Such can be illustrated with an ADAS diagram showing a shift of AD curve to the right. So second determinant is innovative technology or improved labor productivity, which can definitely boost and incentivize business investment, production, and productivity. So I can explain how those above can increase potential output of the country, and that's going to be rather in the long run. So this time I can illustrate LRAES shifting to the right. Question B, using real-world examples, discuss whether GNI is a useful measure of economic well-being. Intro will define GNI and economic well-being. In body 1, I can explain how and in what ways GNI can be a useful measure. First, I can say how high GNI can indicate high economic well-being. Since it is used to measure and track a nation's wealth from year to year, so higher income means higher standard of living available. To be more specific, better health condition and education acquirement would be possible to the citizens. Practically speaking, the countries with high GNI tends to have more stable and safe social infrastructure like welfare system, because higher income guarantees high and stable government tax collection and spending. So to prove that, I'm going to use the real world example of the ranking. So GNI top countries like Norway, Switzerland, and Denmark, they are all known to be providing decent social welfare system. Next, I can evaluate how and why GNI may not be a useful measure. The thing is, achieving high GNI does not necessarily guarantee high economic well-being, because it accounts only for income in terms of economic development, and it does not offer insight into quality of life, such as inequality of income and wealth, externalities, or existence of the informal economy, etc. Also, GNI is not capable of showing sustainable economic well-being, like competition of output or depletion of natural resources, and so on. In this regard, perhaps alternative measures can be more accurate to measure economic well-being, such as OECD Better Life Index, Happiness Index, or Happy Planet Index. This time, my real-world example will be about the US, which is in top 10 country GNI ranking. And all but in terms of inequality index from OECD Better Life Index, the country is ranked to be 5th most unequal country. Question 3A, explain how specialization according to comparative advantage leads to beneficial international trade. Intro will define comparative advantage, specialization, and international trade. And body 1 is about how specialization and international trade give benefits to producers. So when a nation takes advantage of specialization, it will concentrate its human resource, capital, money, and time, everything in producing a good or service they are best at. So trading nations not only save time and resources, but they will also be able to increase the overall outputs in their respective nations. Specifically to the producers, it allows better resource allocation, more output production and sales, higher revenue available, and more employment possible. Next, I can explain how it gives benefits to consumers. To consumers, it allows lower prices, greater choice available, and economic growth and higher standard of living. To illustrate, I can use a PPC diagram showing different opportunity costs and the potential gains from specialization and international trade, definitely as a result of the specialization and trade according to comparative advantage. B, using real-world examples, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of trading blocks. Intro will define trading blocks such as common market and monetary union. First, it's about the advantages of trading blocks. So being a member of trading bloc increases trade flows, which is quite obvious. So it can lead to economic growth of member countries. Also, it leads to consumer benefits. And And it's going to create deeper integration amongst the member countries, increase foreign direct investment, which can be particularly good for LADCs. This is the real-world example of the UK. So recently, the country officially joins Trans-Pacific Trading Bloc, which is the biggest trade deal since Brexit. So under the agreement, more than 99% of current UK goods exports to the CPTPP countries would be eligible for zero tariffs. Next body is about the disadvantages of trading blocs. First, it may lead to trade diversion. Also, it can create displacement of domestic industries. And profoundly, it makes the member countries lose sovereignty. Also, there can be potential economic disparities amongst the member countries. Real-world example is related to the loss of sovereignty. So there have been instances in which a country has challenged the EU law in an effort to ban the sale of a product it deemed harmful. For example, France won permission to ban the sale of Red Bull drinks on the ground that one of its ingredients was harmful to health. But the ban remained in place for 12 years until it was overruled because there was no proof of this health risk. So the rest of the countries in the EU had to get the same application of this rule. All right, this is the end of People 1. Thanks for watching. Bye.